Hey all, welcome to your Geek Report for the weeks of June 17th through July 1st, 2025. I am your host, the Shadow Zero Knight. So let's take a look at the news in the world of TV, movies, and gaming for the past 2 weeks.
Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing good. Hope you all are doing happy, doing blessed, and just doing overall safe. Welcome to your Geek Report for the weeks of June the 17th through July 1st of 2025. We've got a few new items to talk about, so let's get started. So first off, we're going to start off in our TV and movie news segment. And we got some news out of the Highlander reboot that is being led by Henry Cavill. I'm going to talk about it for a little bit and just give you my overall impressions of this news and what it means for this movie. Then we got some gaming news to talk about. We are going to talk about The Outer Worlds 2 and the news surrounding it. Then we're going to move on to the fact that Marathon has been delayed. And then we're going to talk about the Delta Force console release announced. And then I'm going to make a special announcement about Summer Games Fest. Okay? So sit back, relax, grab yourself something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, and let's look at the Geek Report for the weeks of June 17th, July 1st of 2025.
Our first segment tonight is our movie and TV news segment.
So, during the 80s and early 90s, there were a series of movies called Highlander. Now, really, the first one is really the only one I truly care about. Okay? Really, it is the only one I truly and honestly care about because it's the best one. All right? It really is the best one. All right? So, the whole premise of Highlander has been that there's these group of immortals running around and they do something called the Gathering, which is where they eventually kill each other until only one's left standing. Now, the way to kill one of these immortals is by swordplay and by cutting off their head. Okay? And when you do that, you gain their power, you gain their knowledge, you gain their experience, you gain everything about them that made them them. And it kind of mixed like samurai and Vikings with the modern day. Okay? Like these sword fights would be happening in an abandoned car lot, and it would happen in a parking lot. The only place that these fights could not happen at would be holy ground. Okay, that was like a rule. And the reason why I only care about the first one is because it's the best one. Okay, it really is the best one. Number two kind of, just destroyed the series because it added all this science fiction stuff to it when it really shouldn't have. Okay, when it really didn't need it. All right. But I love the first one, okay? I love everything about the first one. I mean, you had some big names attached to the original Highlander, which came out in 1996. You had Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod, one of the Immortals. Then another Immortal was Sean Connery. He played Connor's like mentor in this world. And then you had Clancy Brown. He played like this completely crazy Viking dude who also was an immortal. And you had a couple of other names attached to it. Okay. So I absolutely love the original Highlander. It's in Highlander 2 that they kind of messed things up and added all this like science fiction stuff and other planets, and they just completely messed it up. Okay, they just completely messed it up. Well, now a new Highlander movie is being led by Henry Cavill. And it's being worked on by the guy behind John Wick, Chad Stahelski. Okay? It's being led by that guy. The guy who brought us not only John Wick, but Ballerina. I mean, Chad Stahelski gave us one of the best movie franchises in recent memory, John Wick. So having him attached to this is already a good thing. But now in the big news, okay, the big news that we got this week was this. and that is that Russell Crowe will be joining the Highlander reboot as Mentor Ramirez. Now, if you don't remember the original, Ramirez was played by the late great Sean Connery, or I should say Sir Sean Connery. And he kind of helped Connor like understand the rules of the gathering, of being immortal, all that. Okay. Well, now he's come. Now Russell Crowe will be taking over that lead. He'll be showing the new, um, the new Highlander, Connor McLeod. He'll be showing him the ropes, basically, how to sword fight, the rules of the gathering, all that. First off, all right, this is awesome. One of my favorite Russell Crowe films has always been Gladiator. Okay? And it was one of the reasons why I personally think they should never have done Gladiator 2, because the original Gladiator was such a great film. Okay? A film that kind of intermixed the Roman Empire with justice and revenge and all that. Okay? So having Russell Crowe attached to the Highlander reboot with Henry Cavill, who is expected to play Connor McLeod, okay? Having Chad Stahelski, the guy who gave us the high-action John Wick films, directing it. This is a movie I'm going to keep my eye on, okay? Now, I can't really say what they're going to do until we see a trailer, obviously. But Russell Crowe's on board. Henry Cavill's on board. He's the one leading the charge for a Highlander reboot. You got Chad Stahelski, who's going to be directing it. I mean, seriously, this movie is getting bigger and better from my point of view. Now, one of the complaints I've heard with Russell Crowe is that he ain't going to be able to live up to Sean Connery. Obviously, okay? I don't expect him to. Sean Connery was one of the best James Bonds out there. He was the first James Bond, okay? Russell Crowe don't need to live up to Sean Connery. He needs to be his own Ramirez, okay? He needs to teach Connor his way, not how Sean Connery would do it. And the fact that people are kind of like trying to compare him and Sean Connery, you can't do that. Because these men have come from two different ages of acting. Okay? So, yeah, I agree. He ain't going to live up to Sean Connery, but he shouldn't try. Sean Connery was a great actor, a legendary actor. Russell Crowe is a great actor, a legendary actor in his own right. So he shouldn't try to live up to Sean Connery. Okay? But yeah, back to what I was saying, back to the big news of the day. Russell Crowe will be joining the Highlander reboot that's being led by Henry Cavill, that is going to have Chad Stahelski behind it, and I'm butchering that name, who directed the John Wick films. He's also going to be directing this. I have to say, this is something I'm going to keep my eye open for, because I absolutely love the original Highlander movie. The original Highlander movie was one of my favorite movies. I absolutely love the original Highlander. It's the movies and the TV series that came after that I absolutely do not like. Okay, I just don't like. Okay, I mean, Highlander 2, they kind of tried to do this whole sci-fi thing with hoverboards and all this other stuff, and nah. I mean, it was so... I mean, that movie to me was so bad that it actually brought down the original just a tad. But still, the original Highlander, I absolutely love. I think it's a great movie. I think the one that comes closest to the original was probably Endgame. But yeah, like, totally cool that Russell Crowe is going to be part of the Highlander reboot. He's going to be playing Ramirez, which was originally played by Sean Connery. And I really hope that he just tries to do his Ramirez and don't try to, like, replicate what Sean Connery did. But yeah, this is definitely a movie I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for.
Now, moving on from the world of TV and movies, let's look at what happened this week in the world of video games.
So, moving on to our gaming news segment. It was bound to happen, you guys. Let's just be honest with ourselves. It was bound to happen. The moment Nintendo decided to do it with Mario Kart World, we knew that either Xbox or PlayStation would do it next. And now I'm more convinced than ever that PlayStation will eventually do it. Okay? I mean, I hope they don't. I really do hope they don't, because it would be a mark in their column to get the PlayStation 5. But at this point, it's all but a guarantee that PlayStation is going to do it. And that is that The Outer Worlds 2 will be Xbox's first official $80 game. Now, it's going to market for $79.99, and that is just the base version. And there will be a premium edition for $20 more, but still, y'all, I mean, it's going to be $80. Now, one of the things I've heard people say is that at one point, we had $80 games. Back like during the Nintendo and Super Nintendo era, we had $80 games. Okay? Here's the problem with that. Okay? Here's my problem with that. Alright? Back then, you didn't have microtransactions. Back then, you did not have times where you had to wait 30 minutes to an hour to download an update. Back then, you had DLC, which you could choose to pay for if you wanted to. Okay? And back then, the games were good. Okay? Now look, I'm not saying The Outer Worlds 2 is going to suck. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to be horrible or anything like that. But to charge $79 for a game, or $79 I should say, to charge $79 for this game, really to charge $79 for any game right now is kind of crazy. Okay? It really is in my book. Just the way the gaming space has been here lately, I mean, seriously, charging $79 for a game. Now look, if they're not going to have microtransactions, if they're not going to have DLC or anything like that, if they're going to sit there and say, okay, we are not going to include DLC, we're not going to have microtransactions, we're not going to have any of that stuff in this game, then I might see it their point of view that yes, it can be $79 because you're not going to have microtransactions, and all that. All right? But let's be honest here. They are. Somehow, some way, they are going to shoehorn in microtransactions. Whether that be DLC, whether that be some type of skins or bundles, they're going to shoehorn it in some way, somehow. Okay? Look. It's as simple as this. I've heard the arguments, okay? That at one time there were $80 games, and I've heard the argument that things have gotten higher to do, so the developers need more money and all that, okay? And look, I could possibly understand it if they added more stuff to it. One of the best pre-orders I ever got was Cyberpunk 2077. For the base edition, which cost $60, you got a map, postcard, lore book, and the game. Okay, and that was just for the regular edition. The premium and extra editions came with like statues and stuff, okay? If they started offering stuff like that for the regular edition, made it part of the package, okay, I might be able to understand that. And I'm not even talking a lot. Just say for the Outer Worlds 2, like add a folding poster or something. Okay? You know, for $79, I can understand that. But they're not. It's just the regular edition. It's just the game. Okay? If they were, and I still think that perhaps this is a way for them to get more pre-orders. Okay? I think somehow, some way they're going to do it to where if you pre-order the game, it's only $59. But if you buy it outright afterwards, it's going to be like $79, $80. Look, I've heard all the arguments concerning the $80 price tag. Oh, it costs more to do it nowadays because everything's rising in price. And on top of that, you know, there used to be $80 games. Here's my problem, okay, with the $80 game argument. Back in the 80s, they didn't have DLC. They didn't have microtransactions. Okay? They didn't. And back then, you could kind of understand it because it was kind of a new emerging medium and technology and all that. But now games have been established as a proper entertainment medium. Okay? On top of that, you've got downloadable content, which you can choose to buy. You got microtransactions, which you can choose to buy. But these microtransactions are coming to a point where if you don't buy them, you don't get the full game almost. Okay? One of the biggest, I guess you could say the biggest people who do this is Call of Duty. Where it feels like if you don't buy a microtransaction in Call of Duty, then you don't get the full experience of the game. Where if you have not purchased at least one skin, you don't get the full experience of the game almost. Okay? Which is one of the reasons why I've honestly stopped playing Call of Duty. Because I got tired of being nickeled and dimed. Look, if there wasn't microtransactions or DLC or something, I might be able to understand the $79 price point. But with microtransactions, DLC, you know, skins and all that, unless they are going to sit there and tell us, okay, all DLC will be free, all DLC will not cost you a dime, we will add it part of the regular price and all that. If they said that tomorrow, I'll be like, okay, I can understand that, okay? I can understand where they're coming from. But they're not going to do that. Because it said it in the article, you know, right there, that there will be a $99 option that will include in-game items and feature expansions. Alright? So, $79 is just for the regular price point. It's just for the regular game. Okay? I'm not down with that. Okay? They have to add something to that $79 to make it worth it. Not just the game, but something extra. Even if it is a few in-game items. Okay? Even if it is a few in-game items. They have to add something to that game to make it worth it. Alright? It's as simple as that.
Let's continue on with our gaming news segment.
So, continuing on with our gaming news. We got some news about Marathon. Now, if you don't remember what Marathon was a game coming out from Bungie. And Bungie is made up of people who have done Halo and some of the other games in the Halo series. And it was meant to be an extraction shooter similar to Escape from Tarkov or DMZ or stuff like that. Where you jump in, you loot, you shoot, you extract, and you get to keep what you have. And if you get killed in the game, you lose all that stuff. Okay? Well, this past couple of weeks, we found out that Marathon has been delayed indefinitely. Now, I'm kind of mixed on this. Because, on one hand, I would like to play Marathon. Okay? I really would. But on the other hand, I heard what people were saying about the live closed beta and that it was horrible and all that stuff. So, on one hand, while I do want a great game, I want a complete game, one that is actually fun. So, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this. But the fact that they did delay it indefinitely kind of sends up red flags that maybe we are just one leg away from being canceled. Okay? That really, we're just one step away from being canceled. And I'm kind of wondering if the reviews during the closed alpha, which is their test, if the reviews were so bad that maybe they're getting ready just to shut this down. I hope they don't. I mean, from what I saw of Marathon, okay, it had the potential to be a good game. You know, it had that sci-fi feel. It's just the whole color palette of the characters, the purples and blues and stuff, kind of threw me off a little bit. Okay? But it had a great story to it, you know, jumping into this alien world to collect data and stuff like that. It's just the way they executed it kind of threw me off a little bit. But yeah, Marathon was supposed to come out this year, is not coming out this year. There is no release date for it. And I'm kind of wondering if this ain't the prelude to just a flat out canceling of it.
Let's continue on with our gaming news segment.
So one of the games I really want to play is Delta Force. You know, I've seen streams of Delta Force. I've seen gameplay of Delta Force. I've seen the trailers of Delta Force. And I really want to play this game. Okay. And originally I had hope because they said they were going to bring it to the PlayStation 4, which is what I currently have. Well, we've been waiting for a console release for a while now. Okay, originally it was supposed to release on consoles in like March or April, but they pushed it back because there was problems with some of the transitioning from PC to console. Okay. Well, we finally got an announcement of a console release, and it's not what I hoped for. So this here is the official announcement for the Delta Force console version. And if you scroll down here, it's only going to be available for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Now understand something. This is not a knock against Delta Force or the people behind Delta Force, okay? I get that they are just following the technology and that the PlayStation 5 is honestly more technological than the PlayStation 4. I understand that, okay? But I really had hoped that this was going to come to the PS4 because so many of the games that are coming out for PS5 and not PS4. Okay? And I honestly feel like I'm being pushed to get a PS5. And I don't want to get a PS5 because the price is just too high. They have priced it out of my price range. And this ain't a knock against the people behind Delta Force. This is a knock against Sony. If they want people to buy a PS5, make it as affordable as a PS4. Okay? But we're going to take a look at the trailer, and I'll give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it. But this here is the trailer for Break All the Walls, which is the official console release of Delta Force. Alright, see right there, it looks like high intensity action right there, you know? And I know that's supposed to be the deal with every trailer. I get that. But I've seen streams of Delta Force and it feels and looks like old school Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? And there, right there, we got the console release coming August 19th, which I think is a perfect time because summer's starting to wind down. You know, people are not going to be going out, and people are going to be playing it just so they can stay inside from basically all the cold weather that's coming. So I think August 19th is a perfect time for it. And so there you saw Warfare, which is basically their large map not battle royale, but their large map battle arena. Then you have Extraction, which is basically like their Escape from Tarkov mode, which is really fun from what I'm learning. And then they just dropped a campaign for it, so console players will be able to get all three of these. And it will be free to play. So that there was the trailer for Delta Force Break All the Walls, which is the console release for Delta Force. Let me say, this is not a knock against the people behind Delta Force, but I'm very disappointed in the fact that it ain't coming to PS4. I really wanted this to come to PS4 because I really want to play this game. I truly, honestly want to play this game, okay? But it's not a knock against the people behind Delta Force, okay? It's really a knock against the people at Sony, because they have priced the PS5 so far out of people's reach that you have to be flowing in money to get it, okay? I mean, right now, if I wanted a PlayStation 5 disc version, which is the more expensive version, it's $500. The non-disc version, which is all digital, which if you want to add a disc to it later on, you can, costs $399. Okay? I mean, whereas if I lost my PlayStation 4 and I need to go out and buy another one, it's only like $200. Okay? And I think that Sony needs to realize that, and I really think that all these game companies need to realize this, but I'm going to focus on Sony because I am a PlayStation fan. I love PlayStation. But I think Sony needs to realize that whereas it costs more to develop games, that goes both ways. It costs more to buy the systems to play the games on. Okay? And one of the reasons we bought consoles, to start buying consoles, was because it was cheaper than buying on a computer. It was cheaper than going out and buying a gaming rig to play them on. That ain't the case anymore. I mean, right now, just doing a mini gaming PC, okay? If I wanted to go to Amazon and buy a mini gaming PC that would allow me to play a lot of these popular games that are on PC, I would spend around $350. Whereas if I wanted to play games on PlayStation, not only would I have to spend maybe $400, $500, but I would also have to spend like $20 a month for the subscription service. Okay? They're pricing these consoles way out of people's reach. And eventually it's going to start pushing more and more people to PCs than it does to console. That's literally what it's going to come to. Okay? So unless they make it worth our while to buy these, okay? Unless they say, okay, if you buy a PlayStation 5, you will not have to buy a subscription service. Why should we? When we could go to PC and buy the games we want on Steam and not have to worry about subscription service. Well, most of the time not have to worry about subscription service. Alright? I mean, there are games on PC that do require a subscription service. I will grant you that. But the majority of games don't. So why should we pay $500 for a console that's going to require us to have a subscription service where we still have to buy the games, which are going to be $80, when we could just go to Steam and maybe buy games that are $50? Something's got to give, y'all. All right, really, something's got to give here. All right, and and it's one of the reasons why I haven't bought a PlayStation 5 yet. And this is not a knock against the people behind Delta Force. Okay, this ain't a knock against them. Okay, but in all honesty, something's got to give in terms of these console prices. And I think that, and I still believe this, that I would be very surprised if before the end of the year we did not see an announcement that they were quitting support for the PlayStation 4. Okay? Too many games are coming out that are PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X. And I just would not be surprised. And honestly, the bigger surprise would be if they didn't do this. It would be a bigger surprise to me if they did not announce the end of support for PlayStation 4 before the end of the year. Although I suspect it'll probably be before summer. Okay? Because they're going to want to get that holiday rush. Alright? But yeah, back to what I was saying. We got a console announcement from Delta Force. It is coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. I mean, what can I say? Nothing against the people behind Delta Force. I know it's not on them, it's on Sony. But it just kind of sucks that another game is going directly to PlayStation 5 and just skipping PlayStation 4. When I know there are so many people who still have a PlayStation 4.
Let's continue on with our gaming news segment.
Before I close out this news segment, I wanted to talk about one more thing. And it ain't going to be in the intro, it ain't going to be in the outro. But I want to talk about Summer Games Fest. I am not going to be doing a special report on Summer Games Fest until the end of summer. Okay, it will be part of a special commentary that I'm going to do called Summer 2025 Summer in Review. Okay, the reason for that is because I want to kind of bunch everything up that's happened in the summer in terms of game announcements into one special commentary, so that way we can just talk about it in one spot. Okay. So, Summer Games Fest and all the games that have been announced during the summer will drop during my Summer 2025 review at the end of summer. Well, everyone, that was your Geek Report for the weeks of June the 17th through July 1st of 2025. To kind of review what we talked about, we started off in our TV and movie news segment, and we talked about Russell Crowe joining the Highlander reboot. This is being led by Henry Cavill, and it's going to have Chad Dazinski, the guy behind the John Wick films, directing it. We talked about what this all meant and what my overall impressions of the Highlander reboot are so far, even without a trailer. Then we moved on to gaming news, and really for me, it was all bad news this week in terms of gaming news. First off, The Outer Worlds 2 will be the first $80 Xbox game. I kind of saw this coming because I knew once Nintendo did it, then Xbox and PlayStation are going to do it eventually. Xbox jumped the gun, but I fully expect PlayStation to do it too. Then we got news that Marathon was delayed indefinitely. I think this might be a good thing because maybe they can take what they learned from the closed alpha and really apply it and really make this a great game, okay? Because by all accounts, what people played during the closed alpha was not very good. And then we got the Delta Force announces the console release. Now, they announced it with a trailer. Trailer was good, but it's only coming to Xbox Series X and S, and it's also coming to PlayStation 5. It will not be coming to PlayStation 4, which is what I currently have. I really don't put the blame on them for that. This is really Sony just kind of pushing developers to go to the PlayStation 5 console, I think. But still, it kind of sucks, And then I made a special announcement about Summer Games Fest. I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, staying cool during this hot summer. Take care of yourselves. Check out my other video sites as well as my social media at the end of this video. I will see you guys in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.
Thank you for watching this week's Geek Report. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out my other video sites as well as my social media. And if you can please, leave a like and a comment on this video. We will see you guys in the next video and the next stream. Laters.